When I was a student for a year, I went to RIT, and at the end of the year, they brought in a photographer from outside, from the profession, to give a talk to the students, and it was a big deal. And he gave his talk, and we were just, all the students, we were sitting there just like eating it up, and we were fascinated. And at the end, he asked for questions, and I was the moron, the first guy to raise his hand, and I said, "What advice would you give to a young photographer starting out today?" And he looked at me and he said, "Kid," he said, "I hate to tell you this, but if I were you, I'd become a makeup artist or a model builder." He said, "The business for photographers, it's over." This was like 1974, something like that. It's over, it's done. And the thing is, like, for him, it was over. Wasn't over for me. I've had a great career. I'm still enjoying it, you know what I mean? But the business as he knew it was done. And in a sense, the business as I experienced it in life, a photographer starting out today won't have that career. They won't have my career, like I didn't have his career, but they'll have their own career. I've made so many mistakes in business, I can't even tell you. I'm like the mistake king. It's pretty much what it comes down to. If there's like a hall of fame for people who make mistakes, I'd be in there. I think the biggest mistake I've made in business is just that I didn't ever really appreciate how much it's a relationship-based business. I actually thought photography was more of a meritocracy, where if your pictures are good, that's all that matters. And I was wrong. I think that got me only so far. And I feel like beyond that, it is about relationships. I just naively assumed that people didn't have time for that. Like, they don't want to have lunch with me and have me ask them about their kids and how it's going. They're busy people. I just assumed they were busy and wouldn't want to do that. But I was wrong. I think that ultimately they're curious to meet you. They want to hear all your stories as a photographer. They want to find out what ideas you have for their magazine or their ad agency or whatever it is. I think people are really up for that. Before, it used to be like, if you were qualified, like if you've done ads before, if you're versatile and you can do very different things, if you're technically sound, all that kind of stuff. Now I think the business is vision-based, where what people want is a photographer who has a vision. Not a style like a technique, but a vision, a way of seeing the world that's unique. And they want to buy into that for their project. A photographer is responsible for creating a climate in which they can do their best work, right? And for me, it's being prepared. If I'm not prepared, I feel adrift and out of control. Once I feel prepared, then I'm pretty calm. I'm not a frenzied shooter. I don't get all bent out of shape. I don't start yelling at people or lose it. I'm a very controlled, friendly, nice person. And I think that's because I feel like I'm prepared and everything's good. I feel like my job is to tell a whole story with just one frame. Like, whatever I think about the experience, whatever it is, whatever opinions I have, whatever the content of the story is, it has to all be brought together and brought to a focus in one frame. Because ultimately, that's all that's going to run. That's all that's going to be published. The generation before mine, or generations before mine, particularly in magazine journalism, it was all about the photo essay, right? And it was about telling a story through many pictures. I missed that. I came a generation too late. And I feel like the discipline that I encountered and that I had to kind of train myself on, in a way, was the discipline of the one picture essay, to make the picture tell the story as clearly and as succinctly as possible. That's a huge thing for me. Style is something you can't work towards. It's something that you see in hindsight. Style isn't like, I use a beauty dish and a fill. Style isn't, I cross-process my film. Style isn't, I desaturate the color in Lightroom. That's a technique. A technique is something that someone else could employ and come up with a reasonably similar result, right? True style is a vision, and that's something that is unique as your fingerprints. It's like your DNA. I would pass on advice that was given to me that I wish I had heeded more closely, which was given to me by a guy who ended up being the picture editor at Life. He was a photographer at the time that he gave me the advice. And I showed him my portfolio, which wasn't great. It was the portfolio that I had. And I asked him, like, should I shoot pictures like I see in that black book? Should I do ideas that I have in my head? Like, what would you recommend? And he said, shoot what you can't help but shoot. He said, if you shoot what you can't help but shoot, they'll be your best pictures. And because they'll be your best pictures, they'll be the pictures people respond to. And what's great about that is when they respond to them, what they'll hire you to shoot is more of what you can't help but shoot. And since you can't help but shoot it anyway, it'll come naturally to you. You won't have to second guess them. And this will repeat itself over and over and over again. And what you'll end up building is a body of work of what you can't help but shoot. And in hindsight, you will see your style.